A threat.
It was super informative, and it's kind of mind-blowing how simple it is.
A Red Lodge instructor offering free self-defense classes after 2 random and recent attacks against women. Plus, wild and reckless on Billings roads.
His reckless behavior leading the cops to a chase endangered our community.
An armed robbery leads to a crazy police pursuit through a residential Billings neighborhood. The MTN 430 news starts right now. Well, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Russ Riesinger. Police remain on the hunt for a man accused of attacking a woman in Red Lodge. That attack happened last week, with the woman escaping by using a taser. But still, the incident has many women in the small town concerned for their safety, and now some are doing something to aid in their personal protection. Our Hannah Pettiferi has the story.
And now right down this.
Lindsay Anderson is practicing self-defense techniques at the Grindhouse in Red Lodge.
I think it's awesome that they're offering this class for free, and I hope people take advantage of it.
The free self-defense class offered after a woman here recently escaped a reported attack.
I think it's best to be prepared because things come out of nowhere and always catch you out of surprise.
Lindsay says at times she thinks about different scenarios that could happen to her.
Gosh, I don't know what I would do.
But she says the class is helping her gain confidence.
When you practice these things and realize how much leverage you actually can gain by doing the right moves, it feels really less intimidating.
Lindsay is one of the handful of women participating. Claire Erickson also felt the need to learn these tips and tricks.
I was just excited to come in and kind of see what Timmy had to offer.
Claire says this not only helps to deal with recent events, the class also helps her in her daily life.
You know, coming to a class like this, it's really empowering. And it's not just for, walking around town. It's if you're traveling or in a new place or meeting new people.
These ladies say that the techniques learned here are giving them self-assurance.
It was super informative, and it's kind of mind-blowing how simple it is, but also like how nuanced some of the things are. And I'm really thankful to Timmy and Mackenzie for just opening up their doors to us.
The instructor, Tim Ellinger, has been teaching this self-defense class for 2 years now.
We do it every Tuesday at 6.
He's teaching several different techniques on how these women can break free of any situation they're ever put in.
Here, in our guard, we're strong. I just feel like everybody has a right to feel safe. Everybody has a right to defend themselves.
The class trains on different arm locks and even what to do if you go to the ground.
I really, really believe in teaching efficient strangles that take out the perpetrator, whoever is trying to attack you, because you don't have a choice.
He also wants women to feel empowered after the class.
I really just hope they gain the knowledge and retain it well, because it's really important to just know simple things that can help you out.
And he wants them to learn how to fight someone who is trying to harm them.
I want you to be able to finish, this person who's attacking you, and I want you to be able to defend yourself.
In Red Lodge, Hannah Pettiferi, MTN News.
An update on a story we've been following for months in the mountains near Red Lodge. After more than 3 months of extensive searching, crews say they found the body of a missing hiker in East Rosebud Creek. The Carbon County Sheriff says Red Lodge Fire Rescue recovered the body of 23-year-old Tim Sanford yesterday, about 1,500 feet downstream from where he fell in. He was out of Minnesota and was swept into East Rosebud Creek on June 8th near the outlet of Rimrock Lake while hiking the Beaten Path, a popular trail between Cook City and East Rosebud Lake. Crews say lower water levels in late summer finally improved access and visibility, allowing the body to be recovered. As we've reported, this is not the first time crews search that area for hikers amid changing conditions. In July of 2024, 20-year-old Dylan Honnell, a 20-year-old Montana State University student, was also swept into the creek at the same location as Sanford. Crews conducted multiple searches, later returning once water levels dropped to find his body. Billings man is behind bars after an armed robbery at Rimrock Mall led to a police pursuit through a golf course and residential lawns on the West End. It all started around 6:15 yesterday evening when officers say 2 suspects, a man and a woman, produced a knife and threatened employees at the mall by displaying what appeared to be a firearm. Well, the two suspects fled in opposite directions, with officers seeing the man, 30-year-old Cameron Watson, in a vehicle. Police tried to stop Watson, but he fled. Watson then drove through a fence and onto Peter Yegan Golf Course before continuing across several lawns. Officers were able to pin the vehicle, and Watson eventually was arrested with the help of a canine police dog. Well, today a resident in that neighborhood that had her yard damaged spoke on the scary experience.
Reckless behavior leading the cops to a chase endangered our community, but then it was brought into our neighborhood, something that we as a small neighborhood would never think could happen here.
No further information has been released on the other suspect. We'll have more on this chase coming up in just under an hour on the MTN 530 news.
On the quieter side, we had some beautiful weather around the northern Rockies today. Ridge of high pressure and control brought us abundant sunshine, had enough of a breeze to keep the overnight lows in Billings specifically warmer than it should be with this kind of a clear sky, but we will also have a little bit less wind tomorrow morning. But as you can see, hardly a cloud anywhere around southeastern or south central Montana, as well as northern Wyoming. So I'm keeping my eyes on some other things right now. There's not a lot in the sky to keep your eye on. I'm going to show you coming up in a few minutes one thing that you can see in just a few hours. So tonight, clear, cool, and calm. It's going to be a sunny and warmer day on Thursday by a degree or two compared to today. Another cold front's moving our way, so gusty wind is coming. I'll have your forecast in a few minutes.
A Montana State University Northern professor is on leave for comments she made following the assassination of Charlie Kirk in Utah. The remarks came from Dr. Samantha Balemba Brownlee, an associate professor in the Department of Criminal Justice. The post on X quickly fueled outrage from community members and on social media. The university says the comments by Brownlee are hers and do not represent the opinions of MSU Northern or reflect the values of the institution. They say they will follow established processes as they determine the next steps to take. At least 2 victims are dead, and a gunman has taken his own life after a shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas. The FBI is investigating the crime as an act of targeted violence. Police say the gunman opened fire from the roof of a nearby building, shooting 3 detainees, with 2 of those now having died. The FBI says rounds found next to the shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature. ATF and FBI agents are assisting police in the investigation. The government's General Services Administration is moving to rehire hundreds of laid-off federal employees it slashed earlier this year as part of DOGE cuts. Alex Miller reports from New York on the timeline for their rehiring and what degree efforts to slash government expenses through mass layoffs have been successful.
Fired and then rehired. That could be the case for hundreds of federal workers who lost their jobs as part of Elon Musk's DOGE cuts earlier this year. According to reporting from the Associated Press, the General Services Administration is giving hundreds of workers until the end of this week to either accept or decline taking their jobs back.
You should think of GSA as like the janitor at the building where you work. Unshowy, but if they stop working, things start to break down really quickly, and you need them to fix it.
The GSA oversees thousands of government workspaces. Earlier this year, DOGE cut its headquarters staff by nearly 80%.
DOGE operated on a fire rather than a ready, aim, fire strategy, and the consequences are that most of what it did actually created more waste than it solved for.
In a statement to Scripps News, a GSA spokesperson said its leadership team has comprehensively considered workforce actions and is making adjustments in the best interests of the customer agencies we serve and the American taxpayers. They also said it's important to note that the majority of separations have been voluntary. Public policy professor Donald Moynihan says that's up to interpretation.
The majority of resignations were technically voluntary, but also heavily coerced.
The IRS says it will allow some employees who resigned under DOGE pressure to come back, and the Labor Department has done the same. The move could be part of a wider DOGE reversal, according to public affairs and administration expert Mark Holzer.
It's not going to be just GSA. It's going to be, agency by agency by agency.
Alex Miller, Scripps News Group, New York.
President Trump canceled a scheduled meeting this week with Democratic leaders at the White House, raising the possibility that for the first time since the end of 2018, that the government could shut down next week. If If that happens, how might you be impacted? Joe St. George reports on what happens to Social Security checks, military pay, and more.
The odds of the first government shutdown in nearly 7 years are increasing by the day. Government funding runs out in less than a week, and the House and the Senate aren't even meeting this week. So, because it's been a while, what happens if, in fact, the government does shut down? Let's start with Social Security checks. Medicare and Medicaid, all three continue uninterrupted during a shutdown. But other government services may be suspended, with some offices shutting down. With prime autumn leaf viewing on the horizon in many parts of the country, you may be wondering about national parks. Traditionally, they have been impacted during a shutdown. Roads could close and services may be reduced. A big impact, though, when shutdowns happen are paychecks for those who work for the federal government. Federal contractors, federal employees, and military service members are three groups to watch. Contractors can lose out on pay altogether. Full and part-time federal employees and military service members could face a delay in their paychecks. A 2019 law does require back pay when the government reopens, but that does not apply to contractors. The first shutdown impacted paycheck wouldn't occur until October 10th. That's according to the pay schedule for federal employees. The Trump administration would determine who is an essential worker and who is not. Essential workers would be expected to report to work. In 2018, during the last shutdown, TSA workers were deemed essential, but as Scripps News Group stations across the country reported at the time, there was an uptick in some employees calling in sick. And if you're wondering what is the political divide right now, Republicans essentially want the government to be funded the same until late November, with no policy changes to health care. Democrats disagree and are concerned premiums will rise for many Americans in the months ahead as Affordable Care Act subsidies expire.
If Chuck Schumer intends to shut the government down, I don't see an easy route out of that, and there's going to be a lot of pain.
Our position has never changed. We need bipartisan legislation to keep the government open and meet the needs of the American people, especially on costs, specifically health care costs.
Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.
Preparations are underway as 4 astronauts get ready to venture around the moon on Artemis 2. The NASA mission is a big one aimed at eventually establishing a long-term presence on the moon. Mission Commander Reed Wiseman says liftoff for the 10-day flight is scheduled to launch by next April.
I know this week NASA has said that we're going to open the launch window in early February, and we just do not anchor on dates. We are going to launch when this vehicle is ready, when this team is ready, and we are going to go execute this mission to the best of our abilities. When we get off the planet, we might come right back home. We might spend 3 or 4 days around Earth. We might go to the moon. That's where we want to go, but it is a test mission, and we are ready for every scenario as we ride this amazing space launch system and the Orion spacecraft 250,000 miles away.
The Artemis 2 crew members announced they have named their Orion spacecraft Integrity.